The morning air was crisp as the Buddha walked among his disciples, his presence radiant with calm wisdom. In a bustling village, the Buddha entered a marketplace teeming with activity, noise, and vibrant energy. Suddenly, a man approached with hostility, his anger evident in his clenched fists and furrowed brow. "You claim to be wise," the man shouted, his voice rising above the market chatter. "But you roam aimlessly, seeking alms while others work tirelessly to sustain their lives." The disciples tensed, uneasy at the man's aggression, their eyes on the Buddha for guidance. The Buddha stood still, his serene gaze meeting the man's fiery eyes without flinching or reaction. "Tell me, good man," the Buddha spoke, his voice gentle yet steady. "What troubles your heart so deeply today?" The man paused, momentarily caught off guard by the Buddha's calm response to his outburst. "You and your disciples seem idle while our village struggles to harvest crops and feed hungry mouths," the man exclaimed. "Is it idleness you accuse me of? Or is it a different burden that weighs on your mind?" the Buddha asked. The man hesitated, his anger momentarily clouded by uncertainty as he considered the question. "I offer wisdom and peace. But I see you are offering anger," the Buddha continued softly. "If you extend anger to me and I do not accept it, where does the anger go?" the Buddha asked. The man blinked, confusion beginning to replace the hostility on his face, his mind grappling with the question. "It stays with the one who offers it," the Buddha said, his voice calm as a still lake. "You carry anger in your heart, and it is hurting you far more than it affects me," the Buddha added. The man's posture shifted, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders in that moment. The disciples exchanged glances, their respect for the Buddha's profound wisdom deepening with every word. "Our actions are rooted in compassion and seek not to burden the world but to lighten its struggles," the Buddha explained. The Buddha gestured toward the crops and villagers working nearby, his expression one of quiet understanding. "The farmer tends his field, the merchant sells his goods, and each contributes in their own way," the Buddha said. "My offering is of a different nature, yet no less meaningful than theirs," the Buddha added with warmth. The man softened, his rigid stance giving way to introspection, his mind now turning inward. "I see now that my anger was not truly directed at you, but at my own frustrations," the man admitted. "Then release this burden, for anger blinds the soul and hinders the path to peace," the Buddha replied. The man bowed his head, humbled and quiet, as the bustling marketplace carried on around them. The Buddha turned to his disciples, his words carrying lessons as profound as his actions. "Patience is not passivity. It is the ability to remain rooted amidst life's storms," the Buddha said. "To confront anger with anger is to pour fuel on the fire," the Buddha continued. "But to respond with compassion is to extinguish the flames before they cause harm," the Buddha concluded. "Observe the judgments as they arise within you, but do not attach to them," the Buddha replied patiently. His voice was steady, like the gentle stream that flowed near the monastery, its rhythm calming troubled minds. The Buddha resumed his journey through the village, his presence leaving an indelible mark on those he encountered. Thus, patience and compassion became guiding principles, illuminating the path for those willing to listen and learn. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples rested beneath a great banyan tree, its vast branches offering welcome shade. The noon sun was harsh, and the air was thick with the hum of insects and whispers of swaying leaves. A young monk approached the Buddha, his expression a blend of frustration and weariness from recent encounters with hostile villagers. "Master," the monk began, bowing low, "I struggle to maintain patience when others treat me with anger and disdain." The Buddha looked at him, his eyes filled with compassion, and gestured for the monk to sit nearby. "Do you see this banyan tree, young monk?" the Buddha asked. his voice calm like a flowing stream. "Yes, Master," the monk replied, glancing upward at the massive tree that had witnessed countless seasons and storms. "This tree does not resist the wind," the Buddha continued. "Whether it is gentle or fierce, it simply bends. The tree remains rooted," the Buddha added, "for its strength comes from the depth of its connection to the earth." The monk listened intently, his frustration beginning to dissolve as he considered the Buddha's words and their meaning. In life, anger and adversity will blow like strong winds, attempting to unseat you from your path, the Buddha explained. "If you resist with your own anger, you risk breaking like a brittle branch beneath the force of the storm," he said. "But if you bend with patience and understanding, you will remain rooted, unbroken, and resilient," the Buddha concluded. The monk nodded slowly, absorbing the lesson like parched earth drinking rain, his heart growing lighter with each passing moment. He paused briefly, allowing the gentle sounds of nature to harmonize with his profound teachings. To cease judgment is to see without distortion, the act of observing others with purity and compassion, he concluded. Connections can be meaningful, yet attachment grows from craving validation, transforming the web into a trap, he continued. Every thread in the web represents likes, followers, or comments, reinforcing illusions that bind the heart and the mind. Like this tree, you must remain rooted in your principles, yet adapt your branches to the conditions around you, he said. To face injustice with patience is not to tolerate it, but to respond with clarity and purpose, the Buddha explained. He gestured towards the tree, saying, "Nature exists harmonious, its movements free from entanglement, never defined by attachments. So can hearts emulate this." The disciples observed the breeze sway the branches lightly, reflecting on the harmony Buddha emphasized within mindfulness free of entanglement. One child stumbled and fell, scraping his knee, and began to cry as the other children circled around him. The Buddha observed the scene, his gaze tender, and motioned for his disciples to watch the unfolding moment carefully. "Today," said the Buddha, "we shall journey inward, to the waters of the mind where clarity and distortion dwell." The disciples followed him to the stream that sparkled under the sunlight, its currents gentle yet persistent in motion. Just as this elder attends to the child with care and calm, so must you with those who lash out, he continued. Sometimes, anger is but a cry for understanding, a wound unseen yet deep, seeking the balm of compassion, the Buddha explained. Ananda gazed intently at the stream, where stones and minnows appeared clearly through the crystal water. "What happens when the stream is muddied?" asked the Buddha, pulling his hand back and letting droplets fall to the ground. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as if reaching into the depths of his own practice, and then spoke with gentle clarity. "Patience is like tending a garden. It requires time, care, and mindful effort to grow," the Buddha replied. "Each time you choose patience over anger, you plant a seed that strengthens your inner peace," he continued. Over time, with consistent practice, patience becomes as natural as the tree standing firm yet flexible in the storm, he added. The disturbances arise from grasping and clinging, continued the Buddha. Shadows of ignorance reaching to claim the mind's light. He sat beside the stream, motioning his disciples to join him on the grass that cushioned the earth. The Buddha rose, his presence luminous, and began to walk slowly, his disciples following with renewed purpose and serenity. Thus, the lesson of the banyan tree took root in their minds, a living metaphor for resilience through the strength of patience. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples came across a farmer working tirelessly under the relentless heat of the midday sun. The farmer, drenched in sweat, paused to wipe his brow and looked up as the Buddha approached with calm steps. "Revered Buddha," the farmer said, his voice weary yet respectful, "I toil endlessly, Yet my harvest depends on forces beyond my control. The Buddha regarded the farmer with a gentle gaze, his presence a soothing contrast to the harshness of the moment. Come, sit with us for a while, the Buddha invited, gesturing to a shady spot beneath a nearby grove of trees. Reluctantly, the farmer joined the Buddha and his disciples, his calloused hands resting heavily on his worn knees. Your toil is noble, the Buddha began, his voice as serene as a still pond, for it sustains life and nourishes others. But tell me, good farmer, the Buddha continued, does your worry quicken the rains or hasten the growth of crops? The farmer shook his head, his expression a mix of resignation and curiosity, as he pondered the Buddha's question. Practice mindfulness, he answered, for mindfulness is the anchor that steadies the stream, preventing it from being swept into chaos. He reached for a leaf, holding it above the stream before letting it drift upon the current below. Impatience is like pulling at a young shoot, hoping to make it grow faster, the Buddha added, his tone unwavering. But instead of helping, such force only disrupts the natural process and risks destroying what could have flourished, he explained. The farmer's brow furrowed as he considered the Buddha's words, the weight of his frustrations slowly giving way to reflection. One of the disciples spoke up, addressing the Buddha with a question that seemed to echo the farmer's concerns. The Buddha turned his attention to a young disciple who seemed troubled, his brow furrowed as though burdened by thoughts. My child, the Buddha said softly, what troubles you? Speak freely, for your burden is not meant to be carried alone. Patience is not the absence of effort, the Buddha began, but the presence of trust in the process of life. The farmer prepares the soil, plants the seeds, and waters the fields, but the harvest comes in its own time, he said. Similarly, we must act with diligence and faith, trusting that our efforts will yield fruit when the time is right, he added. The farmer, now leaning forward with interest, asked another question, his tone tinged with a newfound sense of hope. But what of the moments when hardship overwhelms and it feels impossible to wait any longer? The farmer inquired earnestly. The Buddha gestured toward the trees around them, their sturdy trunks and swaying branches casting dappled shadows on the ground. Look at these trees, the Buddha said. They have weathered countless storms, yet they continue to stand tall and grow. Their strength lies in their roots, which reach deep into the earth, drawing sustenance even during the harshest of times, he explained. How do we embrace imperfections, my Lord, when they appear so vivid to us? Ananda asked earnestly. The Buddha plucked a pebble from the stream and held it before his disciples, turning it slowly in his hand. Look at this pebble, he said. Its surface is rough in places, yet this roughness adds to its uniqueness. He placed the pebble back into the water, watching it sink gently to the bottom where it rested among others. To cultivate patience, one must also cultivate presence. For impatience arises when the mind strays from the present moment, the Buddha said. When you focus on the here and now, the weight of what lies beyond lessens, and peace takes root, he added. The disciples listened intently, their understanding deepening with each measured word spoken by their enlightened teacher. The farmer, his spirit noticeably lighter, rose to his feet and bowed deeply before the Buddha and his disciples. Thank you, revered one, the farmer said, his voice steady and sincere. Your wisdom has sown seeds of peace in my heart. The Buddha smiled gently, his gaze full of compassion, as he watched the farmer return to his field with renewed resolve. He gestured toward the setting sun, adding, the sun retreats gracefully each day, knowing balance sustains the universe. So, too, retreat mindfully always. The disciples reflected deeply, understanding boundaries cultivated within compassion sustain freedom, preserving balance between meaningful connection and the pursuit of truth, Sariputta observed. Master, boundaries seem essential. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.